had to once arriving, had to wait a lot to get this bus. I think in about half an hour I can order the bus, and then that'll take me back to where I live. And I arrived here at like 1, and it's coming up to 8 p.m. And I think it was about 3 hours ago they told us that we can't lie down anywhere. We have to sit up. Um, the event was pretty awesome. I arrived like desperately early, um, about 9 a.m. ish. No, yeah, about 9 a.m. ish. And there was a few people, and then slowly more and more came. And from my perspective, being on the ground, there was no way in hell there was millions of people, because there was no like stampeding, there was no crushing, there was no like really high density of people, except for at the like start or the end of Stamford Street. There was like a density of people. People were getting sweaty. People were getting smushed together. But they just had us branch off and go around to join the end of the queue, and that way, yeah, there was just loads of breathing room. So I was expecting, if there was millions of people, that there would be no breathing room at all, that it would all be like sardines. And it wasn't. It was just really tame, and I guess that just goes to show the kind of like civilizedness that the British have, even when millions are gathered in one spot. We make it livable and breathable. Um, so, excuse me. We start marching at like midday. I think 12 p.m. we start marching. So Tommy online was telling us like to meet at 10:30, and the event starts at like 11. We start marching at 11, but the police said that they had publicized for us to start at 12 marching, and the event starts at 1. So that was a bit of confusion, and I asked the police like, where did you publish this? And I don't know why they published that. But yeah, there was literally one van for the whole of Stamford, all of it. You can see it in the aerial shots. There's just one police van, and the sergeant was so cool. Chatted with him for a while, and on the aerial shots, you can see the police van, and you can see a big grey speck to the right of it, and that's me on those aerial shots. I was hanging out on the bike, just talking to the police guys, reading for a bit. After a while, um, I got a lot of photos of people's shirts. I might make a video on the collaging all those shirt photos, and only when and I was like with my GoPro, it was attached here. I say GoPro as a cheap Temu. I was taking sporadic videos, but when the march actually started, like 12ish, it was just constantly recording. That ran out of battery about sorry, by the time the event started, that ran out of battery, and then I switched to the 2K camera, and I was getting closer and closer to the stage. I finally got to the right near the stage, and it was really, really a bit compressed and compact. And but I could see that some people were going into this building at the side of the stage with all this scaffolding, and so I'm like, "Yo, just let me through! Just let me through! I want to get to this corner." I finally get to this corner with like my big ass bag, and I climb up this. Well, first a kid in front of me climbs up this door and goes into the building. So then I climb up and go into the building, and I'm recording it all. And so I'm on like the first level now of this scaffolding around this building, and there's some people there, and I'm just videoing the stage and stuff. Like, I don't really know what else to video, but then like the thing has 6 floors, and slowly but surely I start climbing each floor until we're getting to the tippy top. And there was this one mad kid at the top, and he was just jumping around like a goat, and he was going over to to the Palestinians, protesters, and he had a St. George's cross, and he was flying it, and that's when the coppers started to shout at us to come down because he was just being crazy. And sadly, I didn't get a photo of him with the St. George's cross and then the crowd that he was showing the cross to. I didn't get a photo of those two, but I have got a photo of the crowd from that perspective, and I have got a photo of him on the corner. So I'm gonna try and like super collate them, and I think it's gonna be a really, 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 really good image. But yeah, absolute legends, and the organizers told us once to come down just because they were concerned of these people that were right on the roof, and the roof had like cameras all over it. But they just told us once, and then people slowly came down, and it was pretty chill. But like, it was packed to the scaffolding, and oh my goodness, London knows how to do scaffolding, man. The planks of wood and everything was just so well put together. I was really impressed. It was holding up. But yeah, so we got this awesome view from the side. We could see all the backstage. I saw Carl Benjamin. I saw all the speakers, and photographers were taking photos of us. And then it got like pretty dodgy. Like people started doing like cocaine. Someone handed me a spliff. It started getting a bit degenerate. But yeah, when the minute of silence came for Charlie Kirk, we all shut up. But when the shouting started before the bagpipes started, which was our signal, it's because we couldn't actually hear anything from the side. We could hear like 20% of the speakers, 20% of what was being said, and so we didn't really know that our cue to break the silence was the bagpipes, and so they broke the silence, screaming Charlie's name. But it was around about the time that the bagpipes started, so it was all right in the end. But that was sweet. And yeah, so I recorded like the whole of the event with the concert stage and stuff like that. I filmed all of that on the 2K camera, and then but the zoom was really bad. But I had brought a digital camera also, so I started using the digital camera to take photos, landscape photos, and so all of the footage from the GoPro, which was hours and hours and hours of footage, all the footage from the 2K camera, and all the footage from the digital camera, which had a zoom because it had a lens. All of that is still just like sitting on SD cards and to be looked through. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm thinking of just putting it at like 100x speed, and then you can see the whole movement through the crowd and stuff. And you'll see from the video, like, yeah, sure, there's loads of people, but there's no way, like, you would not say there's millions of people on the ground. No way. You needed that aerial shot. Like, being on the ground, I would have said max 10,000 people, and that's it. And then when they were saying, like, oh, there's 3 million of us, I thought that was just, they would just make it up just to, like, big up the whole thing. But after seeing the aerial shot, it was obvious. It's just crazy how far back that they went. The people, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it just goes on and on and on and on and on. Absolutely crazy. The bishop guy did say that like Parliament is like trembling seeing us out there, but we just weren't rowdy enough for that. We were not rowdy enough for that. And it's a bit tragic that not one English politician came up there. And Tommy made a note of that for all of us to know. And the show up of Antifa was quite tragic, because the last time I was in the UK was for a Generation Identity event, and that was shut down by Antifa because they doubled our numbers. We maybe had 150 and they had 300. And then the next day we had another gathering, and same deal. But violence broke out almost immediately. The conference got shut down because of Antifa, and there's a couple of stories there. Generally, they're very weak, white, skinny, and like sheep, and they'll have like one or two fighters in a group, and once those fighters are done, they just disperse. They have like really low morale. They're like the peasant unit in Total War. And so with this event, we were not double their numbers. We were like 100x, 1000x their numbers. And so they had coaches coming from every single town in all of the UK, subsidized. And so they had all of those coming down, and they gathered like, I don't know how many. It looked like 1,000, maybe it was 10,000. I have no idea. But so you had like the stage. I don't know how. You had the stage, then you had the Antifa people. No, they had the stage, then you had some police, then you had the Antifa people, and then you had some police with horses, and then you had like violent hooligans, patriotic hooligans, which like just that group there that was not in the stage and with the rest of the people, just that group there was like double, up to triple of Antifa. And so the biggest gathering that Antifa could do, the biggest response that they could do, just the violent hooligan people, just their turnout was bigger than them. Never mind the actual mass of people. And so after seeing that, it's the first time ever, pretty much, in like history, apart from what Tommy Robinson has done with EDL, but even that is not too Antifa. It was more Islam groups, but it's the first time ever that like a patriotic group has been double the size, if not, but not just double. We're talking like 1,000x the size of the Antifa response, and so that was pretty crazy to see. Like, I knew that always I was working with and speaking for the silent majority, but to actually have them come out and show themselves, and we could see the response in Antifa was just so tiny. The Stand Against Racism people was just so tiny. To see that was really mind blowing. It made up for their lack of show in the 2016, 2017s when Tommy was in jail and stuff, and just incredible the turnout overall, the numbers, man. And we were informed that that the Stand Against Racism group were just causing trouble the whole time, and undoubtedly because they're just standing there doing nothing, and they're seeing their enemies, the patriots, getting so many people, and having such a good time, and they were just causing the police so much trouble. And we did not, like I was saying, you can see on the aerial photos, we had one police van. We were just all chilling. The only issue was like people fainting, old people fading because there was nowhere to sit, and it kept getting like pretty hot. There was nowhere, nothing to drink, nothing to eat. Definitely, if I go again, I'm gonna bring like a big battery pack. I'm gonna bring like a table and chairs and biscuits and just have like a tea station, bro, for real. With like a British tablecloth and stuff, like, because the next event is going to be Hyde Park, so perfect setup. And yeah, there was the hustlers that were selling like the flags and the St. George's Cross hats and stuff. They were selling them for like 15 quid each. I was like, no thanks. I wanted one for 5 quid. And he was like, no, they're 15, mate. And I should have just been like, all right, 7.50, give me one. But I just walked away instead. But that would have helped a lot because you'll see in the footage, I'm going to make a supercut of it, of the GoPro and 2K footage. So many people came up to me asking me what side I was on, if I'm an independent journalist and stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm a patriot, just chilling. And the sus factor they gave was huge. But a really good result that came from that is there was a bunch of like hooligan type people, and I go up to them. I wasn't recording, but my camera was looking at them, and they were like, "Oh, you're an independent journalist, this and that, blah blah blah," and they were being a bit rowdy with their megaphone, and they probably just left like soon after they realized it wasn't their scene, it wasn't a rowdy scene. But because and then I did start to record because I was telling them I was recording on and off, and when I did start to record, they took that opportunity to use the megaphone to be like, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, you're with Jesus right now, and this and that, you're looking down on us. And I was like, I bet if they didn't know I was recording, they wouldn't have been saying that kind of stuff. But like my presence, being such a strong believer, can be infectious. Plus the recording, I think drove them to say that, because that was not their message at all when with the other stuff they were saying, and when they ran off and then came back, that wasn't, they weren't a Christian group promoting Christianity, and they were just a bit rowdy people, and so that was really fun to see that. And I got that all on camera, so that's coming out on the GoPro footage once I get back. I wish I had a laptop, man. If I had a laptop, I'd already be publishing this stuff. I wouldn't have just been napping waiting for the bus, you know what I'm saying? I think I can pretty soon order the bus ticket, actually. I'm going to start heading off there. But yeah. What else was there to remember? I wrote it in my notes. There was something else to remember. There was one more thing. Yeah. Cute how they challenged me, because they saw that I was just recording everything. Like, yeah, when we were in the scaffolding, and they were like, yo, you can go up one more level. And I knew you could go up one more level, but for them to just egg me on was great. And man, that was fun. I would definitely go to the next one. I mean, it would have to be like really late though, because like really in the future, because I don't have the money to go to another one. I'd have to wait. It'd have to be next summer. So this might be it for me. But yeah, there was like a sensation that like a bombing could have happened pretty easily, because you had pretty easy access and you could just bring a bag or strap yourself up. But I don't think Islam or any Islamists really cared. I'm pretty sure they did gather together and plot. I'm almost certain. But honestly, I think it was like too soon for them, and there was no real reason for it. So, but it was definitely possible. But the tension was low. I would say we had tension for maybe 1 to 4% of the time, and that was just before the march. When the march had started, my goodness, the most tension came when we have arrived at the train stations and bus stations or whatever. That is when there was the most tension, to see people running the flag, and people started to chant like Tommy, 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 Tommy Robin, to chant that in a train station when there's so few of you. Like, that was spooky, bro. But then the minute there was more than 10, 20, 50 of us, it was just awesome. And it was so right and normal. And it's like, why in the world would you get nervous for a British person wearing their flag, and, singing a little song about a patriot? It's just crazy how they've conditioned us. And that's the thing, is that I have been stalked by Antifa going to train stations, and I've been in that miasma of confusion of who the hell's Antifa, where are their agents, how they've infiltrated us, they found us, they're attacking us. I've been there, I've done that, so maybe I'm a bit more on edge than the next person. But yeah, that was amazing. And then when the event was kind of ending, it was a bit dodgy. Okay, so the event was supposed to end at 6, but then they were like, we're going to keep going. And then I saw another post saying that they didn't even get to finish, so they went extra time, but they also didn't finish, because I don't think Carl Benjamin went up, and he was there. I got footage of him. He was dressed up so snobby, man, I don't trust that guy, honestly. He's such a snob. Honestly, I don't think he appeals to working class people at all, and I think he was just so pumped up that he was going to get a million viewers and stuff. I don't think he went up in the end. But yeah, and he was dressed up so nicely. It was really dodgy. We were shouting at him. We were the only people shouting at him, only people that saw him. And we would only shout at him when his ear was directly in our from our mouths. And we know he heard us, but he was so busy with his image, so busy socializing, that like he ignored us until finally people stopped talking to him. He stopped being the birthday boy, and then he came over and he put his ear right to us, and he was waiting to be called again. And we were like, we're not talking to you. No way, bro. You missed your chance because you were so engrossed in chatting with your freaking peers for whatever reason. And but there was other guys there. There was other famous people that were backstage that we were shouting at, saying, "Yo, what's up?" And immediately they respond and they take a photo and they say, "Yo, what's up?" You know, like Carl is a bit divorced, man, from the people. Not gonna lie. But yeah, that was some fun camaraderie, and the danger that was involved in climbing that scaffolding, like constantly, like. But the thing is, we were so calm and collected, and you know, like that and slowly but surely we started putting ladders up on each stage, and so it just got safer and safer. And yeah, that was awesome. What else? Yeah, don't know what else. I've suddenly got this urge to go to the bathroom after like 3 coffees and a Monster Red Bull. Now my bowels are like, bro, it's time. And I'm kind of waiting for the ticket office to open here. I've been waiting for like 6-7 hours now. Oh, I think it's open now. I'm going to buy this ticket, so we'll see. Oh no, that's just my reflection. I saw my reflection moving and I thought that was someone inside. I think it opens 8:25 and it's 8:18, so I got time to go to the bathroom, and then the first bus is at like 8:45 anyway, so yeah. Alright. Trying to think what else to say about the event, man. I have a feeling that like I've turned comments off. I don't know. Because nobody is commenting to say anything. Let me see. Did I make it for kids or whatever? Chat filter? No, you guys can comment. Okay. Yeah, let's find the bathroom here. But like, I think a good demonstration of how calm and all these right-wing extremists were, you know, the 3 million of them, was the fact that like in the gathering, after hours of just standing around, I just got a book out and started reading, sitting on a Santander bike. And that just shows how peaceful it is, bro. How peaceful we are. While Antifa were causing trouble, I'm just sitting there reading a book on the Crusades. And someone shouted out, "Oh, he's reading a Bible." I was not reading a Bible. I did have a Bible. Don't tell the Stansted Airport Lodge, but I took their Bible because I've literally been praying for a Bible for a little while. And they have one, and not all hotels have one these days, so I did take it. And so I got a Bible now, so I'm so happy. Yeah. Let's see, where's the bathroom at? I actually don't need to go anymore. We don't need to go anymore. We're going back down. Yeah. So yeah, if I had a laptop, that'd be sick. I could have put all that content up already. And there was loads of chats which I didn't record. Like at the very least, I could have put audio on. But I just was really trying to conserve battery. But my 2K camera, holy moly, the battery lasted a long time on that. It lasted the whole event, recording basically non-stop. I probably should have used that first. And the digital camera also had loads of battery. So, and it could also record audio. So but yeah. And then at some point on the way back, Oh yeah, that's right. At the end of the event, because I was concerned that leftists would try to get in and try to cause trouble as we were dispersing, because that happened last time, 2016, 2017. I was looking around, making sure there was no trouble at all. Just regular citizens and pathing was going on, and but then I saw like 6-7 Nino ambulances and police come, and I was like, oh no, they're cracking down, they've gone over the time limit. But we think now that it was just unrelated. They were just passing through to go to another part of London where some crime had gone down. So that was cool. And so I started to follow them back. I was like, oh no, the police are going to beat up all the patriots. But they didn't. But in all of that confusion, I freaking checked in late to my flight by like 13 or 23 minutes. And I had to pay a surcharge of 65 euros, and that freaking sucks. Because I had to take it out of my savings, which were really money to pay off a debt of an iMac, 27-inch iMac, that a guy let me repair. So I was trying to pay him back, but I told him, like, bro, I'll see you when I get back from the trip, but I might need this money because you have no idea what kind of emergencies could happen on a trip. And literally an hour before the flight goes, that emergency did come up. They were like, look, you have to pay the 65 euros or we won't let you fly back home. And I was like, well, I guess I got to pay it. And so I had to tell him, and he hasn't responded yet, so that's a bit sad. But luckily I'm employed still, and we're only halfway through the month, so a couple weeks and I'll have the money, so that's nice. But yeah, what else, guys? What else? Oh, the ticket box is opened. I can get my ticket. Yes, this ticket money, actually, I didn't have enough for the tickets either, and I had to take another. There was 40 left over in the savings because I was buying some NVMe cards for my Orange Pi setup, and I only can buy one of them now, sadly. So, oh well, I'm gonna have a half set up. But yeah, I will be working with cash through the rest of the month at my job, which I can use for day-to-day stuff, and obviously getting the Nomina, so I can buy the other NVMe drive later, God willing, after rent and stuff. But yeah, it was nice. I met a lot of people. Everyone was very friendly. Some guys tried to kiss my bald head, and I was a bit cringe because I just like lathered it up in cream because I got like some I do this for health issues. I don't really do it for style points. And yeah, that was a bit weird. They're like, you're greasy. I'm not greasy, it's freaking cream, bro. Anyway, what else? Yeah, so no violence broke out at all. Only in the Antifa group, in the Stand Up to Racism group, were they actually causing trouble, and just within themselves. That was just awesome. Isn't that great that violence did not win there, you know? And their showing was so puny. Wow. Yeah, but there also was a vibe that this wasn't really like a legit thing, because nothing's really come out of it. Yeah, sure, we had a big gathering, you know, Gamonzilla, you know, had a little stroll in London, but it just had the vibes of like a celebrity concert, and that's it. And the bishop guy was like LARPing, you know, he seemed like he was just putting on an act, you know, and it's just like raising up this patriotic spirit, which is kind of like a self-pleasuring spirit in a way, you know, like our people, we're so great, look how tall, look how strong, look how proud we are, we're so great. It's like a self-pleasuring thing, you know. And I don't know. It just seems like Tommy has found a way to create himself into a celebrity and put on a show, and it involves him rousing up the patriotic spirit in the British people. And like that's honestly my conclusion. Anyway, one second. Hello. La siguiente para Marbella. No es un express, ¿no? ¿Se va a parar o va? ¿Perdón? Okay. Vale, ¿cuánta gente? 850. 850 euros at 8:45 a.m. Gracias. All right, I got my freaking ride home, boy. So, I think 20 minutes. 8:27 right now, so 20 minutes. Yeah, so he just gives me that vibe of I found a way, I found my niche to be celebrated, to be a celebrity. It involves rousing the patriotic spirit of Brits, and it's to his benefit now because the situation is getting worse and worse. But he's also doing a service by bringing attention to the issue. But I don't see change happening, you know. Like, he made a vague reference that, like, we're going to storm 10 Downing Street, we're going to storm Parliament, but nothing, bro. We just met up and we sang a few songs. Some people said a few things. Honestly, even the Generation Identity event I went to in 2016, 2017 was just people gathering to just chat, you know, and have a conference and, you know, consolidate ourselves in our identities as British people, as Christians, as whatever, as Irish, you know. But nothing is coming of it, no real change. Like, I don't think there's much that we can do with the changing times, you know. It does seem that, like, Islam will take over, is taking over, and the British people, like a flower coming up in a field, is going to wither in the sun, and its time is going to be over. And, you know, it's sad, but I just don't see us really having this kind of true Christian revival that will bring back the British people. I just don't see it at all. Totally something that is away from my sight. Don't see that. Instead, I see, you know, an extreme accelerationism, an overcoming of our people, and let us be overcome. Like, who cares, honestly? Like, in the grand scheme of things, Britain isn't that important. It hasn't been for a long time, and really it's prophesied in the Bible that Islam essentially will take over, and it will create an Antichrist that will basically make a deal with Israel to have peace with Israel for 7 years, and after 3.5 years it will break that peace, and there will be an attack and a siege on Israel, and during that time the Jews are going to get slaughtered so much that they will eventually call upon the name of Jesus. They'll repent from their Jewishness, I guess. They'll repent from their hard-heartedness, and Jesus will come back, and he's going to slaughter so many people that there will be an economy of clearing up the corpses. The animals will come and help for years and years and years. There will be people just clearing up all the corpses that Jesus will destroy with his army. And so that's what's coming, right? Whether we like it or not. And I think the Brits have done enough to bring that about in terms of, you know, forming the borders of Israel and all that stuff. We can chill and die off now. That's fine. You know, just like Charlie died, we can die, and that's cool. You know, move out to these countries that we got visited by. Like, speakers were Polish, Romanian, Spanish. You know, Spain is great. Spain's Catholic identity, Christian culture is a lot stronger than Britain's, and I don't think Britain can get it back. I honestly don't think they will. But the Catholic sentiment here in Spain is great, and that is a great bulwark against Islam. Yes, we do have Islamic people here and immigration and stuff, and it's a problem. But the Catholic, the brotherhoods, the Christian sentiment here is so strong that when we do a protest, the protest isn't Spain first, Spain is great. It's we are Christian, this is Catholic, you know, don't even try, okay? Just in 2018 in Marbella, right? Marbella, you've heard of Marbella. It's the Puerto Banús, it's the center of debauchery, sex trafficking, nonsense like that. High living, designer stuff. And only in 2016, while I was away at university in Lancaster, joining the Traditionalist Society and going on this Generation Identity event where Antifa is attacking us, which Unite the Kingdom is basically like a rematch of. During that time, they named a street, the Brotherhood of Our Father Jesus Christ of Nazareth, named a street Calle Our Father Jesus of Nazareth. That was in 2016, and I think in 2014, 2015, the Brotherhood was founded nearby the street. But most importantly, they built a statue of Jesus Christ, and he's got a huge cross on his shoulder, and that was in 2018. So 2018 is when I'd broken up with my fiance, I'd separated from paganism, and I was like 6 months away from being saved and being brought to Christ in a jail cell through all of that relationship, right? And that was when they built this cross, this statue, and it's my favorite place in Marbella. Whenever I'm driving people around, I always recommend they go there because it's modern and new. And this is happening in 2018. When was the last time in the UK, in Brighton, did they put up? Well, Brighton is like Torremolinos, to be fair. It's not equivocable. But where in the UK do you have the Anglican Church or the Catholic Church putting up a huge? And it's not just that they put up a statue, right? It's that they labeled it El Señor de Marbella. You know, the Lord of Marbella. They labeled the statue, and that's just beautiful, man. That is next level stuff. And so that's what's happening now in Spain. The Catholic sentiment. There is betrayal by the government. There is corruption, but there is so much Catholic strength, right? So the multiculturalism that we do have is balanced out. It's there's never an oppressive demographic. In some areas, sometimes the Muslims can get a bit rowdy, but because of the strong Christian presence, it's almost immediately quashed. In other areas, tourist demographic can be so extreme that it raises up the prices of rents and stuff from all the Airbnbs, and when that happens, the Spanish people start to riot and stuff like that. So, you know, there are some oppressive demographic issues that Spain has, but overall tourism brings way more than it takes away, way more. If you work your ass off in the summer for tourism, you're making at least 50% more than you do outside of summer. So and the Muslim problem, we've been dealing with it for a long time. We were conquered by Muslims for like a good 500-600 years here in Spain. We know what's popping, we know what's up. So when Britain is broken down, we have all these areas to go to. As British citizens, I think we don't need to be too attached to our land, and I just don't see a revival happening. This great event, Unite the Kingdom, yeah, great. Everyone was very patriotic. That's very fun, and we had some music, and we sat there and thought we were, you know, so cool because we all believe that, you know, that we want our own preservation, that basically that we think that flowers are nice and they should be preserved, especially pretty ones that look like us, like, okay, but is there any changes in Parliament? Is there any politicians getting involved? No, it's just not happening. Not at all from the result of that. It was just a show. We get to celebrate Tommy. The attention that Tommy brought to Jesus Christ, nothing. And the speakers as well. The speakers say, I believe in Tommy and I believe in you. There was no I believe in Jesus Christ. And then they were saying stuff like that freedom of religion should be banned in the UK. It's like, you want freedom of speech, but you don't want freedom of religion. It was weird, like fascist stuff. There was another comment as well. This one made me think. She said no more trips to the mosque. And I kind of get that. But the trips I've taken to the mosque were awesome, I'm not gonna lie.
Do you know where is it?
Eso nosotros
No?
hablamos.
Okay.
Maravilla.
Sí.
Gracias.
A ver, ¿qué ven ahora?
8:45.
Vale.
Okay. Can't really talk. Kind of confused why nobody is messaging. If you want to send any comments now, you can respond. But otherwise, I gotta shut it down. Because it's just not polite to be streaming on the bus. Right. Ciao.